We're here backstage at Seven Feathers Casino Resort. It's going to be a great night, not just because Jeff Foxworthy is here, but his football team already won tonight. And you and I were just chatting about you watching the game on your phone earlier, and I was doing the same thing watching the game.
Yeah, at least I know that we won. Your phone is currently running in your back pocket. People always want to know what it's like behind the scenes. Literally 45 seconds ago, he's sitting there like that watching a football game on his phone. So.
Yeah, and we can still get along even though his team is holding one of those playoff spots. But enough about football. Let's
barely
talk about
holding.
Yeah, it's a tight
holding.
one.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of people excited about tonight. It's a sold-out show. It's almost Thanksgiving, and you've taken some of your time to come out here and hang out with us before Thanksgiving. But we want to start off by asking you what you're thankful for.
Oh my gosh, I have healthy kids. I've been married to the same great woman for 35 years. I have been able to make a living doing something that I would have done for free. And I was telling my wife that not long ago. I said, how many people have done the same job for 35 years and they still love their job? And I think I'm kind of unusual as a comedian because most people get into stand-up because it's a great springboard for TV and movies, like Eddie Murphy. But once they do TV and movies, they don't do stand-up anymore. Mm-hmm. And I just always wanted to be a stand-up. Now, I got to do TV and movies, and I like doing that stuff. I like painting, I like writing books. But if you put a gun to my head and said, okay, you can't do but one thing, I wouldn't even hesitate. It would always be stand-up.
And some of those other things you mentioned, you hosted a radio show, you've written books. Did those things just kind of fall in your lap, or how did those come up? Because I know we've had a chance being in radio to do a lot of different things, this being one of those, and some of those things just kind of popped up out of nowhere, and I was curious for you how some of those things happened.
Yeah, I mean, that's, somebody said to me, would you like to host a radio show, like a country countdown show? And I'm like, yeah, okay. I mean, can I do it? Because I live in Atlanta. I did 7 years in LA, but I wanted my kids to grow up around their families. So in the mid to late 90s, I moved back to Georgia, have a farm. If I'm not working, I'm on a tractor somewhere. I mean, that's my real life. And so the radio show just kind of fell in my lap. And I had done a ton of radio. Early on, I remember all my comedian buddies, everybody wanted to be on TV. And I thought, well, people don't have to watch TV, but people have to listen to the radio. You listen to the radio every morning going to work. And so even when I lived in LA, I'd get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and I'd do 12 to 15 morning shows every day.
Wow.
And I'd start on the East Coast and just work my way across the time zones because I knew people were in their car, they were stuck, and they had to listen to radio. And I've always enjoyed that medium. For a comedian, it's a little different because you can't use facial expressions, you can't have long pauses. And so it's kind of learning how to be funny in a different way. But yeah, I did that show for a decade.
With Thanksgiving, we talk about being thankful. I know that a few Thanksgivings ago, you had your family all together and you came up with this brilliant idea for a game, Relative Insanity, which is kind of like Apples to Apples or kind of like Cards Against Humanity a little bit. But
it's somewhere in between the two.
A little cleaner, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, and we do it. I'm getting ready to do it every year. We go down to the farm and we have like 30 relatives there, aunts, uncles, grandmas, cousins. And a couple of years ago, the kids, and I say kids, they're all in their 20s now, mid-20s, and they were, after Thanksgiving dinner, they were playing Cards Against Humanity. And I was like, your grandmother's here, your aunts and uncles are here. We cannot do this. I said, you guys got to go downstairs. You can't play this in front of them. It was just too dirty. And they went downstairs. I mean, they were cool about it. And I was just sitting there thinking, there ought to be a way to do this where they wouldn't have to go downstairs. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to do a game where you can have innuendo, but it's not filthy. I mean, it's, and so I sat down and I wrote 500 punchlines.
Dang.
Just things that sounded funny. They weren't to any joke, they just sounded funny. Things like, I'm not wearing any underwear, or I have mold in my crawl space. I don't even know what that means. And so.
I don't either.
Right, but it sounds funny.
Especially after the underwear comment.
It sounds funny. And so, and then I thought, what is it that people have in common? Because that's what stand-up is. You're trying to find what do we have in common. And it's everybody's family's crazy. Everybody thinks their family's the craziest family on the planet. And so,
But you're not the crazy one.
yeah,
other
well, that's
one.
kind of why stand-up makes me feel good, as I realize, oh, there's other people out there as screwed up as we are. And so I wrote 100 setups just about relatives. And so the setup might be, right before we walked down the aisle, Daddy leaned over to me and whispered blank.
There's mold in my crawl space?
Yeah, I have mold in my crawl space. You know?
I'm not wearing any underwear.
Yeah, I'm not wearing any underwear. And so everybody has 7 punchlines, and you just put down the one you think is going to get the biggest laugh. It's that easy to play. Well, it's the #1 game on Amazon.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it went so crazy. I've since done 2 expansion packs
Yes.
on it. So yeah, the first one just came out for that. And it's fun because, you know, people will write me and go, I play this with my aunt and uncle, and I've never seen my aunt laugh that much in her life. And I'm like, yeah, that's why I did it.
Well, I've really enjoyed this. I know we could probably just sit here and talk to you for a while, but you have a show to do, so we appreciate you coming out to Seven Feathers.
It's not like I got a lot, you know, it's not like I got to go set up the pyrotechnics or,
No, it's almost fourth quarter, so we got to, you know.
Oh, yeah, right.
I'll wink at you.
No,
No.
I'm fine. Why don't we stay for another half hour?
Hey, whatever you want to do, we're fine with it.
No,
But,
that's kind of the cool thing. You know, whenever I go to do gigs like this, the production crew, they love having comedians. And I always tell a story. 25 years ago, I was doing a show with Brooks and Dunn. We were doing like a corporate event, and we're standing around backstage like this, and Ronnie Dunn said, Fox, what do you got to have to do a show? I said, I got to have a microphone. I said, I like to have a stool and a bottle of water, but I don't have to have it. And he went, Dad, gummit, you get to keep the money.
yeah,
They
exactly.
had four semi trucks and 60 people and pyrotechnics.
All the crew.
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, that's the great thing about comedy is it's just you. So,
You know, by the way, I'm not wearing any underwear.
and I have mold in my crawl space.
Exactly.
And I'm just in between the two. It's fine, really. Great.
Well, again, we appreciate you coming out to Seven Feathers.
Oh,
It's
man,
been a
you
lot of
bet.
fun.
Looking forward to this. It's
Yeah.
going to be fun.
So are we.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You bet.